A lot of moving pieces for the 49ers as they get ready for their week 2 game against New Orleans. And Saturday is always a day where the 49ers make some transactions, whether it's just elevating guys up from the practice squad or making some moves for the roster. And the 49ers did both of those things on Saturday as they announced this at the deadline, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, or in their case, 3 p.m. Central. That's what the deadline was for the 49ers to submit these moves to the NFL office for these players to be eligible for the game on Sunday. So 3 guys are up from the practice squad to participate in this game. We'll just hit them quickly. It's Braden Willis, tight end. It's Adrian Martinez, and also linebacker Curtis Robinson. So here were the moves for the 49ers made. The first one was a move to the 53-man roster. That is Curtis Robinson. So he was active last week because of his special teams play coming up from the practice squad. In essence, he takes the spot of Nick Martin, who's on the 53-man, but the 49ers have deemed that they view Curtis Robinson more valuable at this point because of his contributions on special teams. So now the 49ers have made that move permanent. Curtis Robinson on the 53-man roster. In order to create room for him on the 53-man roster, the 49ers waive Robert Beal. So Robert Beal goes now. He's available for other teams if they want him. If no team claims him or signs him, I would imagine he would be back on the 49ers practice squad. And then the 2 roster elevations for the team would be Adrian Martinez, the quarterback from Clovis West High School by way of Nebraska and Kansas State. Spent a little bit of time with the Detroit Lions, then went to the UFL with the Birmingham Stallions, then with the Jets. He gets a high recommendation from Robert Saleh. So the 49ers signed Adrian Martinez to the practice squad after, in the final preseason game, Tanner Mordecai and Carter Bradley sustained injuries. They went on IR. Ultimately, they were released with an injury settlement, both of those players. So Adrian Martinez will be wearing number 4 in this game on Sunday as the backup quarterback to Mac Jones. Number 4, that used to be Jake Moody. Jake Moody, in the meantime, signs with the Chicago Bears practice squad as kind of a backup to Cairo Santos. I think the Bears are trying to create a little bit of pressure on him or light a fire under him. So Jake Moody didn't remain out there for too long. He goes to the Bears practice squad. So in addition to Adrian Martinez, up will be in uniform for this game. So will Braden Willis as the number 3 tight end. So Braden Willis takes over as the number 3 guy. So he will be behind Luke Farrell and Jake Tonjes on the 49ers depth chart for this game, with, of course, George Kittle being on IR, and he's ineligible for the next 4 games. One move the 49ers made last week that they didn't make today was Russell Gage, not coming up from the practice squad, so he will be ineligible. He will not be in uniform to play Sunday against the Saints. And the reason for that is basically Kendrick Bourne takes the place of Russell Gage. So here's what I expect for the 49ers to do on Sunday would be, if Jauan Jennings is ready to go, he will play. He gave every indication on Friday that he'll be available to play in this game. If that's the case, as I would suspect, then Jordan Watkins will be inactive for this game, the rookie wide receiver from Ole Miss, who hasn't played a whole lot, hasn't practiced much at all after the high ankle sprain he sustained in that 49ers first preseason game against the Denver Broncos. So the 49ers, 5 wide receivers in uniform active for the game on Sunday would be Ricky Pearsall, Jauan Jennings, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kendrick Bourne, and then the return specialist, Sky Moore. And as I talked about with Mike Triplett of New Orleans Football, just kind of interesting where Isaac Yiadom, who was the 49ers number 3 cornerback on the outside last year, he will be playing a lot. He played every snap in the Saints' first game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. So 49ers will be going up against a familiar face. Yiadom was a guy that 49ers had high hopes for last year. Didn't necessarily have a great season, but goes back to New Orleans. They liked him there, and he played well in 2023. And now he has a significant role with the Saints back on their team. So, Ricky Pearsall going up against Isaac Yiadom, Juwan Jennings going up against Isaac Yiadom. Those are some matchups that took place a lot on the practice field back in 2024. So that's the 49ers situation heading into this game at the wide receiver position. At the tight end position, Luke Farrell, the blocking specialist, Jake Tonjes, more of the pass catcher. So, a lot of stuff in flux there in the passing game for Mac Jones. Now, certainly interesting, like early in the week, there was a report that Brock Purdy could miss 5 games. And at that point, before I found out, kind of where the 49ers were with that, kind of led me to believe, well, geez, I wonder if they're going to place him on IR. Not placing him on IR, everything seems to be trending in a much more favorable position for Brock Purdy than what was nationally reported earlier in the week. I'll probably have a little bit more information on the 49ers pregame show, 49ers pregame live tomorrow on NBC Sports Bay Area. But it just seems like things are moving in a very positive direction as far as getting Brock Purdy back out on the field sooner than later. But still, Mac Jones making his 50th NFL start, his first with the 49ers. Adrian Martinez, who will be stepping in, putting on a uniform for the first time in his NFL career. I think first time ever active for an NFL game day. And he's only been with the team since August 27th. It was on that day where the 49ers knew that Mordecai was injured and Bradley was injured, and they were starting the regular season with just 2 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster. And they were looking to bring in a quarterback from the outside. And with Adrian Martinez, the mix of athleticism, they liked the player, they liked the person, or at least Robert Saleh had very high marks on him, having been with him with the Saints. So Martinez came in. I talked to him Friday in the locker room before the team jumped on the bus and departed for New Orleans. And he said the things that you would expect a backup quarterback to say, always preparing the same way. He said even last week when he was on the practice squad as the number 3 guy, you go through the preparation. He's not getting any first team reps, so he's not out there with the 49ers offense per se. But he said he did find it very useful week 1 of the regular season, being on the sideline himself. Curtis Rourke, who's basically a red shirt this year, 7th round pick from Indiana, who had the ACL surgery in January, basically played the entire final season in Indiana, best season in that program's history, basically played with an ACL that needed to be repaired the entire year. He undergoes that surgery. So the 49ers basically signed him. They drafted him as a redshirt guy, but both of those guys had the earpiece in, so they're able to hear the communication between the sideline and the quarterback. And so they're able to kind of chart the plays and be very much up to date on just the operation of how Kyle Shanahan and Clay Kubiak go through the offense. And so learning all that stuff in week 1 was a nice crash course for Adrian Martinez to continue his development, his preparation in case he's called upon. The fact that Purdy did not go on IR, the fact that the 49ers did bring in Mike White earlier this week for a tryout, that was more, I think, more or less throw passes to the tight ends. The 49ers knew that they wanted to add a tight end to the practice squad. They did that. Messiah Swenson was a player that they added, but they did check up on Mike White just in case, maybe there was a setback with Brock Purdy, or they felt like they needed another quarterback in the mix. So I think kind of a vote of confidence, if you will, that even though Mike White hasn't been around with the 49ers, he's familiar enough with the system, what they're trying to do based on his previous NFL stops, that the 49ers decided to go with the quarterback who's never been in an NFL game and who showed up on August 27th instead of Mike White, somebody who has some NFL experience. So those are the moves. Once again, Curtis Robinson on the 53, Braden Willis is elevated to be the third tight end in this game from the practice squad. Adrian Martinez elevated to be the second quarterback on the 49ers roster. He's up from the practice squad. And then Robert Beal is released. And now we'll see what happens with him. So 49ers go into this game with a couple of key players, two key offensive players not in uniform, Brock Purdy and George Kittle. Juwan Jennings was questionable, but again, I think trending in the right direction. And then Trent Williams, who did not have a great game week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. He's also questionable. It seems as if both of those players will be available to play in this game, but won't know for sure until the 49ers announce their inactive players, and it has to take place at 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast, 90 minutes before kickoff. One note with the New Orleans Saints, Chase Young, the edge rusher, that begins his second year with New Orleans. He's out for this game due to injury. So that's the quick update on a Saturday as the 49ers solidify in their minds who are going to be the guys in uniform, the 48 players in uniform. And so that's where we are with the 49ers making some late roster additions in order to be available for tomorrow's game. Thanks for watching this video. Leave a like, a comment, and well, that's it for now. And next time you see or hear from me probably will be on the NBC Sports Bay Area 49ers pregame live on TV here in the Bay Area as we get you set for the 49ers against the New Orleans Saints in week 2.